Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Penfield Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Committee, January 14th, 2025. Call to order. Anybody have any additions or deletions to today's agenda?
No.
Okay, moving on, since no additions or deletions. The next the item on business is the approval of the minutes from November 12th, 2024. We did not have a December meeting. It was canceled.
Minutes, I think, are good.
Okay. Seeing no objections, we'll move on. First discussion, we'll hand it over to Don to talk about Penfield Trails Committee update.
Thank you, Bill. And I should just point out that Bill is new to the committee, and he's our new chairperson. This is his first meeting. And welcome also Mike Allen, who's also joined the committee for 2025. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So the Penfield Trails Committee update. The December hike, we did not have the meeting in December, like you said, so we did that at Sherwood Fields, and we had, what did I count, 9 community hikers, 5 members of the Trails Committee. We had what the skiers like to call a bluebird day. We had a beautiful, bright, sunny day, mid-20s, really nice conditions, really nice hike. We keep the winter hikes a little shorter, so that was about 2 miles, about an hour, almost an hour and a half hike, so that was really nice. Last Saturday, we did our winter hike. We did that at Ellison Park. We also had sun, not bluebird sun, but it was a nice day. Also mid-20s, the ground was frozen, good for hiking, not enough snow really for snowshoeing. Kind of the highlight there is we start in the parking lot by the dog park, and we go up to Fort Schuyler, which is the old trading post up by the Frisbee Golf Course. And the county opens that up for us. We have a fire, we had hot chocolate and donuts and clementines, and it was really nice. We had 11 community hikers, including some kids and some families, which is always fun for us as hikers, and 7 members from the Trails Committee, so that was a really good turnout. Our next hike is in February, and we typically do our hikes on the second Saturday of every month, but the February hike, we're actually going to hope for some clear skies, and we're going to do it on a Friday night, February 7th, close to a full moon. So with any luck, we'll have clear skies, we'll have a full moon, we'll be able to hike. We're doing that. We're going to meet at Rothfuss and probably cross over to Irene Gosson. We'll put little light sticks around. And again, we'll hope for snow and snowshoeing. If not, we'll probably just hike. So, we're looking forward to that, and with some luck, we might have really nice winter night conditions. Fingers crossed, right? And then sometimes we talk about pop-up hikes. We do not have any scheduled at the moment. We have a lot of ideas. At this time of year, they're pretty much winter weather contingent. So we'll keep an eye on those, and if we have good weather to do a snowshoe pop-up or some other type of hike, we'll do that. Otherwise, those will probably come along in the spring. Item 4 here on the list, update Trails Passport. That's the Wegmans Hit the Trail Passport. We have a booklet, and last year the Trails Committee spent much of the year reviewing all of the different parks and looking for areas that could be cleaned up or improved, maps that could be updated. We have all that information gathered and collated, and we're ready to work with the rec department on printing updated passports.
And I know, Don, I know the website's been updated. Our 2025 scenic hike little kind of booklet, which is available at the rec, is updated as well. So we've started to make some updates. I know the big push is going to be to update all of our trail maps, and the hope would be is working with our planning and engineering department to come up with some new maps and then add those to kiosks to the Wegmans Passport. So can't thank the Trails Committee enough for doing this large project, but hopefully you're going to see the results by the end of the year.
Yeah, it didn't sound like much, but to your point, the information is in about 6 or 7 different places. So to get descriptions and addresses and parking lots all you know.
And years
All
of
similar.
that information, too. so
That's right. And
Kudos to
then
you.
you go to Google Maps and it shows one place, and Apple Maps a different place, et cetera. And regarding trail maps, we also had a new member join the Trails Committee, Claire Gevertz, and she's also a mapping kind of specialist, has a deep interest in mapping technologies. And so her timing is perfect for those working with the town, you know, representing the Trails Committee and working on those maps. So, all right, I think, oh, and then you had included the active transportation plan. I'm not sure what the status of that is, but yeah, we're anxious to support that effort too.
Yep, I know the town is currently looking at different agencies to be able to work with for the active transportation plan. I believe there's a meeting later this week to kind of discuss that a little bit more, and then recommendations would go to the town board. But the hope would be to start that active transportation plan as soon as possible, especially in the winter, looking towards the spring, to gather as much kind of seasonal winter information before the nice weather comes out and we can get generic hike and bike and all that stuff. So really cool plan, I think, for 2025 and beyond for the town.
Okay, thank you very much, Don, for the update. Next one, Mark, go on to Penfield Parks update. And Tim, can you help us out with that, please?
So usually we just do a little couple of updates of what the Parks Department's done in the past month or so. It's been pretty dodgy with all the snow we've gotten, so we've done a lot of snow removal, plowing of the sidewalks and parking lots and stuff like that. We did install a new doggy poop station at the new Shadow Pines parking lot, so that's a plus for dog walkers, keeping our trails clean. And there was some repairs needed at Jack's Place Playground at Rothfuss Park that we went underway. We fixed the bench there and some of the rope elements there. So, and then with all the holiday setup, since we didn't have a meeting last week or last month, we put up all the holiday decorations and already took them down. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and a couple more things for, on the recreation side of parks. I know we've gotten some phone calls and emails. What we typically do from a Parks and Rec standpoint for our pickleball and tennis courts is we do lock those typically over the winter and take down the nets just to make sure there's a low amount of damage when it comes to those courts. With Shadow Pines pickleball courts being new, we decided to only keep 4 out of the 10 open. So the large ADA accessible, those courts will remain open throughout the winter, and then we kind of judge it from a Parks Department as, you know, March, April, nice weather comes out, Tim and his crew go out there, put up the tennis nets and pickleball nets at the other places. So currently, the only courts that are open for pickleball right now in the winter are 4 at Shadow Pines, and then we, for the last, I think, 3 years, have left Greenwood Park, which are 2 tennis and pickleball courts. So those are available for people to use if it's nice. We just really ask everybody that goes there, please don't use shovels or anything like that to move the snow. That does damage the courts, and again, one of the reasons we kind of only leave half of them open over the winter season.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item of business is the Penfield Recreation update.
Yeah, and sorry, Bill, to
Yep.
go back to the parks update, I know we've got the Shadow Pines property multi-use trail project, so Tim kind of went through his parks updates, but that is a plan and a project that we've been looking at since our master plan. We kind of did presentations for our 2024 master plan, as well as gathering feedback for that and gathering feedback for this multi-use project. We are hoping to have Adam Rates from Further Trail Services at our next month's meeting in February provide a presentation to this committee, have discussions with the committee, and that's really going to be the first time where we're going to see actual plans laid out there. Tim and myself have seen those plans. It's based on a bunch of feedback that Adam received via surveys, the master plan meetings that we had. But of course, after these presentations for the next one, our committee will be able to give some feedback on that. And then any public feedback or anything like that, we can discuss that with Adam after next meeting or feel free to email recreation@penfield.org, and I'll kind of cycle them towards Adam just for his feedback that he's getting for that project. And then looking at the Channing Philbrick Park Trail Bridge project, I know that,
Yeah, we are-
maybe I'll leave that over to
Yeah, we are having a pre-construction meeting in the next week or so to the company that won the highest bid. It was CMI, so we're having a pre-construction meeting with them, and then once we go through that, they got all their forms and everything in order with the DEC and all that fun stuff. It should be good to go. So there will be postings on, because we have to communicate with the town of Parrington about shutting down that end of the trail, and with the school district that currently are using the old Parks Department down there at Linear as their base for mechanics. There might be a couple like Verdi trailers down there for their supplies while they work on that walkway, elevated walkway.
And I believe they're hopefully going to start that project as soon as possible. They are working with the DEC and have worked with the DEC, and it's very limited kind of water access that they need. I believe from some of the talks, it's kind of you build X part of the bridge, and then you move on to the next, kind of bring your construction equipment along with you. So we will, like Tim said, post trail closings and things like that, but ultimately I think we've been looking at from a trails perspective for a couple years now in that bridge, so it's great that this project is coming to culmination in 2025.
So that's a little bit of a change. I thought we'd heard that they didn't need DEC approval.
So there are some a little, not as invasive as Parrington's end of things, but it was still like there's a couple forms you still got to fill out.
Okay.
That kind of thing. It's nothing that's going to stop the,
Not limited to the same
No.
construction season like Spring Lake was?
correct, because they were more in the water and we're just
Right.
heliocoiling
Okay.
them on.
So we should be able to start weather dependent?
Yes.
Any idea duration, if we heard in
That's
rough numbers?
something I can report back next
Okay,
meeting, after we have this pre-construction meeting, to see what their actual timeline is.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
So now I'll
okay.
go to the recreation, sorry for that. So our winter, spring 2025 programming, again, we didn't have a meeting back in December, so just wanted to give an update that registration began back in December. Numbers are going well, enrollment's great. Our deer programs remain very popular, but one of the large changes that we had to have this winter, spring is our pool program, which is very heavily utilized in the winter, spring, getting ready for the summer months and things like that. We were notified by the school that there's going to be a bunch of repairs to the pool deck. So I believe starting in March, and it's expected to go to June, we will not have access to the pool. So I know that's kind of tough for some of our swim programs, but we're doing our best to making sure that we're going to be back into the pool for the summer. But please reach out to the rec department to ask about swim lessons and things like that. We're trying to possibly find another pool, but it's difficult because pools are very saturated around here in the winter, spring months. When we look at our summer camp updates, I know I mentioned it at the last meeting, but it is in our December and winter, spring 2025 brochure that we did make a change, and registration will start March 3rd at 10 a.m. We've already received a bunch of feedback from previous participants, and very happy that we've kind of moved it to March. I think it's better internally for the rec department as well, doing a bunch of cancellations and transfers, and we're always trying to add as much staff as possible to get as much enrollment. We know it's a large issue for the community to have coverage over the summer, so we'll continue to do that, but instead of having to do changes from December all the way to June, now we can do it from March to June and try to have a little bit better of a grasp on what staffing we'll have for enrollment numbers. And then lastly, under the recreation update, we're working on our 2025 events and summer concerts. Structures are going to be pretty much the same. I do know after this last year, sadly, we had to cancel the 4th of July Independence Day Parade, which was very difficult for everyone involved, growing up on 441 with Tim and myself right down the street. So canceling it was difficult, but we're coming up with some contingency plans for rain dates for both the fireworks that we were able to hold on Sunday this last year, but we're looking to have a little bit more formality when it comes to that. just to make decision-making a little bit easier, because we do not want to cancel the parade again. So more updates will come out probably closer in May and June.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The next item is the 2024 Parks and Recreation Master Plan update.
Yep. So again, since we didn't have a meeting in December, I just wanted to leave it here on the agenda just to say that it was finalized by the town board at their legislative meeting in December. Bill, as being a new member, and Don, and really, everybody here at the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee provided input. A lot of people that are in the audience also provided input at all the presentations and the meetings that we had online. I just can't thank the town of Penfield, the residents, enough for all the feedback that we received. I think it's a great plan for the next 5 years. We can always add more, but I just want to reiterate, like I've said at all the meetings, just because we had this master plan doesn't mean that we still don't want feedback. So please use the recreation@penfield.org email, stop by the rec department, stop in and say hi, just to have a chat. But any feedback beyond the master plan planning, always let us know. So thank you to everyone for that, and to all the committee members as well.
Okay, next item of business is other business, and we have a guest.
Is this mic live? Can you tell me?
You can tap on it. It should be live.
Okay. As much as I love my partner, he might be too cozy.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Megan Meyer, and we are here from Color Penfield Green, specifically our Healthy Yards Penfield campaign. And I know on the agenda it talks about Healthy Yards Monroe County. So I just will give you a little bit of information on that. But we have a proposal here. We would love to collaborate with the town to enhance native habitat at Shadow Pines. And we have a little bit of information for you on that, what we envision and the guidance we could provide. And I think last time we spoke very briefly, some of you asked about signage, so we pulled together some things that some of the other towns have done around this, and some of the native plantings that they've done. So I am trained as a master gardener and also a Cornell climate steward. I co-lead Color Penfield Green. I also co-lead our Healthy Yards Penfield, or I lead Healthy Yards Penfield group. Let's see, I need my little
I've got it over
clicker
here, but I think you've got a clicker
You
there.
want- All right. Just to let you know what Healthy Yards Monroe County is all about, it is a resident-led committee that kind of is a campaign of Color Your Communities Green. We have a lot of them. We have, of course, our Color Penfield Green here, but there are many towns that have their own Color Your Communities Green. And this particular campaign is very popular, and a lot of the towns, a lot of our residents have connected and educated with our towns to create some great programs that are happening out there. So, just a little bit about what our Color Penfield Green has done. We have been working with the town and collaborated with them for the past couple of years to offer education classes through Penfield Rec and Penfield Library. We have also installed and maintained several native pollinator gardens on town property. We have also offered field trips for our residents to learn more about native habitat, and all of these things that we have done, the town has used as some of their goals for the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. So we really are giving them a lot of opportunity to, we really enjoy working with the town and helping them on that. We also support our Parks Department as they adopt more ecologically friendly and more cost-effective mowing practices, which has been, they've been doing that for the last couple of years, which is wonderful. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce the rest of the people that we have here. This is Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill Carter. I have done the UNCC Native Plant Certificate course, as well as a Master Naturalist Training program with Mecklenburg County Parks and Rec. I lived down in Charlotte, North Carolina for a while, by the way, where I've done some volunteer work, doing things like invasive species pulls, tree plantings, cleanups, things like that. And then since moving back to Penfield, last year did the Fingerlynx Prism Invasive Species Monitoring program. Chose to do that at Harris Whalen and Ellison, and also just a Color Penfield Green member and looking to get involved in projects like this, helping out, restore or keep the native habitat strong for, the wildlife there as well as the community to enjoy.
Excellent.
Me? All right, I'm Keith McPhail. I live in Northwest Penfield, and I came to Color Penfield Green more or less by recommendation. I met Tim Masterton after talking to the previous supervisor about offering some chestnut trees for the South 9. And that was before SUNY imploded, when they lost the chestnut tree biome, and unfortunately. But Tim's mentioned Meg and said, we've had a lot of success with she in the group. Why don't you go speak to her and see what we can do? And that's blossomed into my joining the group. I'm more or less the worker bee at the moment, learning, doing the physical effort, and that's why I have the slides later on the deck about work groups.
All right, great, thanks. So again, the proposal is to create a more diverse habitat, native habitat on the south side of Shadow Pines. We'd love to see something like this with a lot more natives, both in spring, summer, and fall. We have some natives there, but we can certainly diversify with what is native to New York State. This is, I have a lot of background in native plants and planting more formal gardens, but we have a lot of people in the town of Pittsford that have already planted some meadows, and Jill will speak to that a little bit later in this slide presentation.
Me, right. I think that what I would say as part of the segue through the slides is that the start from a community point of view, especially in my neighborhood, the start of this conversation was the 2018-19 bond offering.
People speak up towards the mics.
Yeah, you bring-
Closer.
How's that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Glad for the feedback. The slide sort of points out that the public interest started back in 2018, 2019 with the bond issuance. We all know that. And my neighborhood continues to ask me questions because I tend to be the person investigating this, amongst other things. And so from the point of view of the entire parcel of land, we've done some great work in the north side. And now we're moving down to the south. And there's a strong current for preservation and what might be called restoration of the South 9 to achieve a more naturalized state. As a golf course, it had golf course type grasses and bushes. As a meadow, if we wanted to call it that, within a park or a series of meadows. it would have to be transformed somehow. And that's part of what this particular slide points to. It's a reminder, but it's also what the public, at least in my neighborhood, still talks about, and is still what they would like to see or have a voice in as this conversation evolves. Okay. I set this up a bit in terms of what I just said. I also mentioned that when I first started in this group, I met through Tim, who suggested seeing Megan and seeing colored Penfield green. And what my real surprise was that the network of towns that are linked today with common purpose and common desires, whether it's a pollinator corridor or whatever. And so the South 9, as it exists today, is this gem within Penfield. And speaking personally, and being the person with the trowel and the shovel and such right now, I'm personally not talking about heavy equipment kind of things, non-involvement of Tim. What we're really talking about is volunteer work groups, which you'll see in the next couple of slides, that will be involved on several different levels, one being removal of invasive species, whether you're talking about teasels or if someone has an itch about box elders like I do. And these are the community work parties that have already occurred. This is not a new idea that we have to invent. This is something that has already happened and that we would like to repeat and expand. And people do come forth. I shouldn't even say that. The public, in a sense, doesn't have to volunteer unless they want to. The group, Color Penfield Green, has an assortment of volunteers with different knowledge bases, and they would provide more than enough advice and planning and the doer part of this job, just like the people on the screen are showing right now. Could you go to the next one, please? It's all right, there's a pause.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I think Jill's
Pardon me?
going to take over.
Yes, so actually the Native Habitat at Shadow Pines already is serving as a educational opportunity for kids and families and for the community. On the left here is Katie Rigg is leading the Scribner Environmental Club. They were out there sowing seeds of milkweed and having that real hands-on, out of the classroom experience where these kids will be able to come back and see their plants growing next year, maybe look for, the butterflies, and really having that investment in the environment. They're going to feel like they've made an impact. So we, just would like to do more of this kind of thing. The guy in the middle, that's my son. He has discovered a caterpillar, of course, and the look on his face says it all. You really get just a different feeling when you're actually experiencing nature firsthand than just reading about it in books. And he had read about, the life cycle of monarchs, but when he was able to actually save that one off of the path we were walking on that my husband almost stepped on and, bring it over to a plant and, that hands-on experience that really connects kids, to, loving their environment and having that with them, always. And then, see on here on the right is a Color Penfield Green. You guys did a class where they're locating eggs, and that's just an example of adults also getting out and having a hands-on experience somewhere more natural than, most parks are. Shadow Pines already has diverse different habitats where you could be at the stream or in these meadows or in the forest, and being immersed in it in a way that kids don't see in their own suburban backyards or at the soccer field. So we would just like to continue to help maintain and enhance that habitat. You could go to the next slide, I think. And also to host workshops, educational workshops, or tours. For example, this native seed winter sowing class. Megan has done lots of community center classes, and we could have them on site, or also invite other people from the community, such as this is Sarah Sutton. She has a native plant nursery, popular Instagram account. This is her giving a workshop in Pittsford at the Great Embankment Park, but we would like to have that kind of thing happen here in Penfield at Shadow Pines.
Can I mention something before we move on? So we did actually have a conversation last March, I think, with Board Member Teglash, where we met at the South 9. I just mentioned it as a historical point, really. And when we took the walk, this has been in progress now for about 9 months at a very low level. She turned and looked at us and said, what about the involvement of the middle school, which is on the corner of the north side of the park, and the high school, which is just down the road? And I knew her from soccer when our children played together. And she said, you could get your boots on and take the kids into the stream. Because we both grew up in an environment where we had streams around our house. And it's not just for the kids turning rocks over and finding salamanders, but there are teachers in the middle school and the high school that could use the South 9 as a laboratory, which is a huge free educational experience. We would have to expand our thoughts and our feelers to see if the teachers are willing to put the time into creating a curricula, right, that involves the South 9. But we're more than willing to help assist that and expand those possibilities. I just wanted to mention that because obviously there are hundreds of students almost within a stone's throw that some of them would take an interest. All right.
And we also would like for people to take what they've learned at, workshops and all that and bring it home with them. We envision doing something similar in Penfield with the Penfield pollinator pathway to what Pittsford and Brighton have already done. Can use, a pollinator meadow at Shadow Pines as an inspiration for people to bring home. And, Shadow Pines is located within along other parks, major parks like Ellison and Thousand Acre Swamp, and so
Yeah,
it
it's a
is
ribbon.
a bit of a corridor.
Yeah, right.
And we could have the people also become part of that corridor by bringing it to our own yards, and the impact is greater when we all work together. All the Color Your Community Green groups are connected. We've actually have permission to use similar language that they've used for their pollinator pathways. I've spoken with Jess Neal from Pittsford Parks. She's the parks foreman, about their pollinator meadows they've done in Pittsford. And Ellen Henry, I believe, is here, from Colored Pittsburgh Green. They did a bird harbor at Great Embankment Park, which is similar to the projects we're kind of talking about. And they're willing to collaborate and share their experiences with us.
Can I show this?
Oh, sure, yes. Moving on to signage.
So I'm prop guy tonight, and I'll be short. I had it on the right-hand side.
While Keith is unveiling this amazing sign, I just want to let you know that all of these 3 projects you see on this slide here, the Meadow Restoration Project in the Monroe County Parks, was instigated by residents in our Healthy Yards Monroe County group, and the Pittsford Healthy Yards Pittsford group actually collaborated with their town, and the town rolled out their own Pittsford pollinator pathway and has a page on their website encouraging their residents to participate in this, and they have signs that the participants can put in their yards if they fill out the application and they have the certain number of native plants that they need. That was rolled out last fall of 2023, and Brighton Pollinator Pathway was rolled out this past spring. So we're excited to maybe do some presentations to our town board to get on board with this, and maybe have our own pollinator pathway here.
Megan, I think Pittsford town government provided funding, right, for that effort?
The town of Pittsford provided the funding for the signs. In Brighton, they collaborated with the Color Brighton Green, and I think Color Brighton Green is kind of adding some, I think they might be supplying the signs. They have the ability to generate income, Color Pittsford, Color Brighton Green. So yeah, that is something that we could always, discuss with our towns, should the town want to do something like that.
Can I show this?
Okay, there we go.
All right, so this is a loaner from Chris Kirchmeier over at Monroe County. And it's the sign in the left-hand side of the slide, right? And Chris somehow magically has the ability to create these signs in-house, so lucky him. And he's walked me through, right? They're very simple. The QR code here in the lower right-hand corner for everybody in the audience, if you don't know what that is, you put your phone up against it, right, and it tells you where to go in a nice, polite way. This one goes to the website for Monroe County. He told me yesterday, today's Tuesday, right? He told me yesterday they're really simple to print. He's got a couple vendors. I'm not trying to get him into trouble. I'm just saying this is an invitation to come see the park, right? Whether it's up on the north side or down the south side, it's really simple. It's been done by a number of towns already. We're just part of the network. And I wanted to bring it because, as I said, he was gracious enough to loan it to me. And he just went, yeah, simple to make. I'm not trying to get you guys on the hook. I'm not. But Chris has said he's open to conversations. So he's always been that way in the couple of months I've known him. And this could be an easy path just to get us started. We don't have to be full-blown everything at once, right? It can just be at the head of it saying, come on and look at the meadow. But we would have to upgrade whatever is on the website. We don't want it to be a dead end.
So
Thanks.
these are just some of the signs that are at the Bird Harbor, at the Great Embankment Park. The photo on the left is their pollinator garden, and then they have acres of meadow that the town actually put in, and they've had some success with sowing seeds. You might have talked to Jess about that.
Can I ask you about that, though? I'm familiar with that. The town cleared that land, right?
They cleared it like
Which is what we specifically
4
said you're
times.
not talking about in sheds.
We're not talking about
Correct.
that.
Yeah,
So
no.
It's hard to compare those because Southside is 100 acres. And
Right.
to manually pull invasives is a pretty daunting
We're-
discussion, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about that at all. We're talking about really taking a small space, maybe putting some plants in the fall to see how those do. And if those take off, they'll self-sow and start to propagate, and we'll have more. So, we're not asking the town to do something like Pittsford has done, but I'm just giving examples of some of the signs that they have with some of the native plantings that they've done over there. And then the town of Brighton has some signage at the Brickyard Trail. That's a little bit over the top there. I think they had some architects help them with that particular sign for the Brickyard Trail. But the thing that I like about this is that they've been very creative about bringing together different groups of people to kind of highlight this park that they have there. They invited plein air painters to come in and paint and draw in that particular stretch of park, and then they had a show, and I could see that being done here, which would be a wonderful way of drawing people in. So just to wrap up, I think we were asked what the sequence of events might be, and what we propose is to start very small, to evaluate an area chosen that maybe our town parks people will, kind of point out for us, and when we know where the multi-use trails are going to be. So we'd evaluate that area, choose some appropriate New York meadow plantings to start to add, and we'd probably have to do some invasive removal as well. We'd remediate and prep the site. We're not talking about, mowing, we're not talking about clearing land or something like that, but just taking, as a work party, taking some shovels and clearing a little space to put, a couple of plants in here and there. And then once things are really starting to look like, they should be looking, let's get some educational signage in to really kind of educate people on what's happening here. So that's the proposal, and we're open to your ideas, but we'd love to see some of this natural part of the south side saved and improved from some of those original documents that were written up for the town back in 2019. And that's also in our 2024 comprehensive plan as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
thank you. Any questions?
I don't know, Tim, what do you need from the town? I mean, you're talking about doing most of this as volunteer work through the organizations,
Correct.
right?
I think we need to have a formal kind of letting us know that it's okay that we go in there and, we kind of work with the town on what is appropriate for where we start and all of that kind of thing.
Tim, is that working
That's
with
reasonable, and
parks
obviously, we've
to-
worked with you in the past on like smaller projects, and
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with obviously starting small. Picking the area out is the big thing to start with.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've had great communication in the past, so I don't see a problem with that. Just
Yeah.
starting the conversation there on where, and I hope I know the answer to this as far as maintenance-wise, because I think you mentioned it before about, obviously, the heavy lifting is the beginning, the plantings, and then after that, it's just self.
Yes, this is not a formal garden. This is adding some of those natives that maybe had been there in the past, and if they take, they will self-sow and reseed themselves, and we'll get more happening in there. Our seed bank right now is fairly limited. We do have milkweeds, we do have we do have a lot of goldenrod and some of the asters, the white asters and everything, but we're really, we don't see a lot of the spring blooming native plants, and there are a lot of others that are summer blooming, like our butterfly weed. I think, Don, you've talked about that, and would love to see that in there. There are a lot of other things that we can get in there that will really enhance that area.
How about grasses? Any grasses you're thinking about?
We could certainly do some little blue stem and some blue oats grama, side oats grama. We could try some of those as well. Yeah, absolutely.
For
Tim's-
context,
I'm sorry, I was going to say, Tim's team mowed that down quite a bit, so there might be an opportunity there on the recently mowed area for success.
So yeah, just for everybody's, I know we came up with a mowing plan for the back nine of Shadow Pines. I think it's been working out pretty well for the past couple of years. We basically split the property in half. 1 year we mowed the one half, and then the next year we mowed. So it gives it like a full growing season to go through. And obviously that stuff we'll talk about with whatever area, if we choose to pick an area, and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from a recreation standpoint, this is perfect timing to be discussing this stuff. Maybe a little bit ahead of the game, which it's not worse to be ahead rather than late, but I know speaking from the multi-use trail project, really only a few of us have seen that project, but also speaking to the active transportation plan, the Brickyard Trail, that was actually a part of their active transportation plan. So knowing that the town of Penfield is currently working on that, I just see all of these different avenues connecting. A big part of our master plan, which luckily just got updated in 2024, which is pretty fresh with ideas, was connectivity. And I see everything in your presentation on that south side when we're looking at a multi-use trail project. How do we educate? How do we connect people to those areas? So I think it's perfect timing to be discussing those things. Certainly when Adam and Further Trail Services does their presentation next time, I think that's going to help answer some of those parts of the unknown of where can we start, and this is really just at a plan at this moment. It's not like anything's hitting the ground to create these trails yet, but I know the look is multi-phase, so it's not going to be all at once, if all ever, and but I think it's just perfect timing that all of these things are coming together for that south side, and we've really, I think from a town perspective, based on feedback, years and years of feedback, have done a great job with the north side. We continue to work on it with the Clark House, and I know our Trails Committee, we kind of looked at the north side, okay, what are those projects that are going to take place? Now that most of those larger projects have taken place, now it's kind of on our Trails Committee to connect people to those different areas, whether it pickleball, playgrounds, disc golf, shelters, things like that. Our 5K course. So now that we're shifting our kind of site to the south side, I really only look at from a recreation and park standpoint is this connection of multi-use trails, and I think the education piece that you guys are speaking to for your subject, I also think that education piece goes hand in hand with shared use trails, and I think that that's something based on active transportation, not only in Shadow Pines, but also everywhere in Penfield, connecting schools to our parks, to our rec departments, to our libraries, to our town halls. I think all that kind of comes together from that education piece. So I see all of these things building on each other. So I'm excited for the discussions and hoping that the presentation in February from Further Trail Services just helps those discussions move forward. So thank you for my rec spiel.
Just connecting what Tim said about the every other year mowing. I really like the idea of the signs, because often been over at Shadow Pines after you've done the mowing, and people are saying, I can't believe what the town did, and then you try to explain to people why you did it. I think having signs would help. So I like the idea of the signs.
Yeah, they're very simple and direct. And they did make a choice. You can see it on the website, and Chris repeated that when I spoke to him. So, as you said, people get an understanding quickly. There are also other signs, like the Great Circle down in Ganondigan, that is a colored enameled sign, which is just beautiful, but it sets sort of this pastoral view of what the Great Circle is supposed to show the people, not culturally, fauna and flora. So there's an evolution to the signage as well.
I just have a question for, when you say small size, what are you thinking? Rough square footage wise? 9 by 9, 10 by 10?
I honestly think that might be something that we could discuss when we pick the area, or like narrow down the area, then we can see how much we can afford. And that obviously comes down to labor and hours of labor to what everybody can handle. So I think that's like at the beginning is just, in my mind, just finding an area to do it and see, do you need 10 volunteers? Do you need 3? Do you need
And I worked for the town of Pittsford with Jess Neal for years, so, I know Tim collaborates with them as well, so, reaching out to Pittsford, Brighton, things like that, having those connections as well, we're open to all of that to build on what they've started and bring it over here in Penfield.
Yeah, and to your question, the library pollinator garden is, the Sunny Garden is, I think, 9 by 22. I consider that a small garden. And then we also have a shade pollinator garden around the tree, and that, what do you say,
It was like 400 square feet?
12 to 20 feet?
Yeah.
Of course, the tree is in there, too.
Yeah.
A circumference 20 feet around. We would probably be planting some of these, especially the flowering plants. We would be spacing them a lot more and allowing some of the grasses to grow like a regular meadow. If you see a regular meadow, there are a lot more grasses than there are flowering plants. So it's a totally different way of designing, and we could probably get a lot more plants in a much larger space. But it might be bigger than 22 feet by 9 feet, but we're not talking about acres.
Okay, thank you. It just helps put some context in
Yeah.
my mind.
What, in your opinion, what is the current state of the grasses and the meadows in there? Is it all invasive? Is it all just like grown up golf turf? Is it, what is it right now? And how much of a challenge was it going to be to implement a native species? It's not just going to be overseeding. I assume it's going to be some serious, is it eradication of what's there? Or is it trying to just create the best possible environment for the natural plants? Or what are you going against?
My thought is creating the best possible environment and maybe clearing out maybe a foot or two to get a plug, a landscape plug in a small plant of grasses or flowering plants. And we might have to fence off a little bit of that like we did over Willow Pond for the first year, just so that the deer don't eat down some of the smaller plants. But then, that would be taken out, and those would be allowed to grow on and then self-sow so that it would start to propagate on that property.
Grass is hard. The fescue was there with the golf course, and one of the first things Tim said to me when I first met him was he was hoping the seed bank would take over from prior to the golf course. And that may still happen over the course of the next decade. But can we agree that we're effectively trying to give Mother Nature a nudge, right? A gentle nudge? And so grass is hard, especially that kind of grass, because it's designed to grow very close together. Wild grasses grow in clumps. Right? And so you can literally take a multi-pronged kind of hoe and go like that and plant seeds. It's really mind-numbing. On the other hand, other invasives that Dawn has pointed out are much simpler, whether it's teasels or something else, because you can get in there and pull them up by the root. It's just you have to have a certain amount of manual industry to do it and just keep at it. And then they come back to some degree next year and you do it again. That's all non-herbicidal kind of work, right? So the kids are never in danger, nobody else is. It's got to be safety first. But yeah, it's a long road.
So pretty much get it to a point where there's enough competition to get the grass out on its own, pretty much.
Yeah, so these guys can talk much more eloquently than I can. But out west, with the native grasses, what you do find, at least in South Dakota and out by Yellowstone and stuff, is that you do get the clumpy stuff. It creates homes for the fauna, the rabbits and other things like that, which brings in hawks and other birds of prey. You also have the tall grass reserve in South Dakota, which is just this sea of 3-foot-high grass that the prairie dogs live in. We're not trying to bring prairie dogs in, obviously, but people have a vision that's not fescue, as beautiful as it is. And one of the pluses about the short grass is that it changes color with the season. So when it turns to fall, it turns russet colored. And up on the high fairway, when the sun's setting in the west, the vision that you could have is the whole field in a decade or something will be glowing red and waving at you. It's about this high. You don't really want the really tall stuff. It grows to 4 to 6 feet. That's what the Great Circle has down in Victor. You can barely get through it. It's so dense. Right? So I think that vision of what we really want is part of the discussion. It's going to take time. We have time to talk about it, but we also need to get going.
So what's the next step?
I'm going to let Megan take that one.
I like to do actions, but if we want this to happen, so what's next? What's the next step?
The next step, well, probably sitting down with Tim and finding out a little bit more about where these trails are going to be. Yeah.
February.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your feedback. Appreciate it. Great presentation.
Thanks.
You know, you asked a question, Ben. I said I'm prop sky tonight. Right? It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep at it. It's a pain.
Okay, next item is held business. I think Linda walked in, if I'm correct.
Yeah, she said he would.
I can speak to it. I know we haven't gotten more information on it. I know it's still being looked at. I believe that held action item is when we get more information, it will be discussed. But at this point, there's not any more information that we've discussed.
And that's regarding the renting and loaning of equipment?
No, I was speaking
Okay.
to the Shadow Pines property.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Same with the renting and loaning of equipment. The rec department is working on it. We're hopeful to have something in the spring, probably starting with pickleball, being able to rent something. We're still kind of working out some of the details with, liability and logistics and making sure that people return those things. But our hope is to start with pickleball and disc golf because we've been provided discs. Thank you, Steve and the crew, for giving us all of those. But some sort of a loaning equipment to get people out there that maybe haven't played pickleball or disc golf before. And then it might spur into our bocce courts and other areas.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know Steve had some information on disc golf that you wanted to share?
Sure, do you want, I can do
Sure,
that
go
now,
ahead.
right?
Before we get to.
Yep.
Last year, I talked about the success of the Shadow Pines disc course in this area, and we were very pleased about it last year. It was the #1 played course in New York State, which was pretty interesting. And we had about, on average, about 12,000 for the year, 12,000 players. The interesting thing about that, and you take a look at these numbers for the past year in 2024, where that number went up to 14,000. These numbers are recorded by a UDisc application, which not all players use. If you're out there for a recreational round, you're not using the UDisc application. If you're keeping yourself a handicap, you definitely would, just like in kind of a regular golf situation. So generally speaking, what we find is that the UDisc numbers are a third to a half of what the actual play is. So if we take a look at these numbers, they are actually very high. And you also take a look at this chart, and the one thing I like are visual charts that really kind of pop out at you. And the fact that Shadow Pines is well over a third played out of all the other courses in this area, and is, about 3 times almost 3 times more play at Shadow Pines than there is in the next course in this area, which is one of the courses is a legendary course, and that's the course at Ellison Park. On any given day, even when the weather is poor, you'll find somebody out there playing. Some nights you'll find people out there playing glow disc at night with the lights. It is a well-utilized asset. These numbers, by the way, were gathered by Dave Kopp, who is the president of the Greater Rochester Disc Golf Club. He was the president. We have a new president for that organization. But interestingly enough, play in the Rochester area for disc golf is up about 13% year over year, and the national average is about 9%. So it's a sport that is a recreation, depending on how you approach it, that is really growing in popularity. And the Shadow Pines course is one of the nicer courses in the area. It is well noted by many players as being a go-to place for play, and it's just aesthetically very pleasing, and it also has the right kind of challenge with the 3 different tee setups. So I say this every time I talk about disc golf, thanks to Tim and his crew for the maintenance and upkeep of that course. Doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of money, but we get a lot of utilization out of it and a lot of benefit and value for the residents of Penfield. So I think it's good for us in Penfield to know that we have something like this, and we should be proud of the fact that it is well utilized and well respected. And I think the players respect the course as well. I don't think there's a lot of garbage that you have to pick up and a lot of issues. Respectful of all the walkers in the area. It's just it's a great place for disc golfing and great place for exercise.
Thank you very much for the update.
I was just going to say, too, I think that speaks to, with Megan's presentation as well, what great collaboration is. I can't thank, David and Jason, the years it took to work together so well with the town and all the feedback we got with that. So when I look to the south side, I look at that sort of collaboration, one that we already have with Penfield Color Green, just to continue. And we're now seeing these results, on a wonderful pie graph that shows that Shadow Pine is so heavily used. I see the same thing on the south side, is updating that part of the property and having, not just Penfield residents, but also people coming to Penfield, going to the businesses and things like that to be able to come to that kind of an attraction here in Penfield, New York. So great work by all.
Thank you. So that concludes today's agenda, and then any old business to cover? I don't think we have any, correct? Okay. Next we'll go to new business. None? The next part of our meeting is public feedback. Come on up.
Hi, my name's Donna Spinella. I'm here representing Friends of Shadow Pines, just so that our Color Penfield Green friends aren't the only ones who brought props tonight. On behalf of the Friends of Shadow Pines, which is a group that evolved out of the group called Save Shadow Pines that did 2 years' worth of legwork to basically make sure this land got saved in the first place, we want to say that we are fully behind the proposal that we've seen, the wonderful presentation that Megan Meyer did on behalf of Color Penfield Green and Healthy Yards Penfield in terms of designating pollinator areas, in terms of sort of rehabilitating the golf course into a more natural state, particularly on the south side. But I wanted to also just kind of point out that this has been on some people's agenda, for example, the Friends of Shadow Pines agenda, ever since the vote was made in February of 2018 to have the town purchase that land. It was the largest turnout we ever had for a vote on anything in Penfield. The referendum was 4-1 in favor of having this land preserved. And as was pointed out in the earlier presentation, the Shadow Pines Land Use Advisory Committee, which presented their report 1 year later in 2019, reiterated after many interviews with people from the town, public meetings, that there's a very strong desire for unfettered open space to be maintained there. Now, the north side is flat. It's easily accessible by roadways. It's great for playgrounds and pickleball courts and things like that. But that south side, to maintain the integrity of the topography there, of the landscape there, and then to reintegrate a more natural, native environment there, as again, has been on a lot of people's agenda, even though it has never quite, made it to the big time here. I have a letter here written on behalf of Friends of Shadow Pines after meetings with town officials from 2 years ago, from 2023, in which we specifically say that there's still been a failure to designate which areas will be returned to a sort of a native natural state. So I am thrilled that we are going to actually get to work on this project finally. And the context in which I wrote that particular bullet point was that Shadow Pines needs to be viewed as a comprehensive, integrated whole. Shadow Pines is more than the sum of its parts, and I think Andy and Tim would highly agree with that. So we want to kind of always, whenever we make a change, we always want to look at it as, how does this complete a broader picture? Are we balancing that stated desire for an open breath of air sort of space where we have natural native plants and animals being able to survive and thrive, with the recreational opportunities that a community like ours need? So again, Friends of Shadow Pines is fully behind this proposition, and we are eager to do whatever it takes on our part to help make it a reality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else like to speak? Come on up, please.
Hi, my name's Jeff Burns. I'm also a member of Friends of Shadow Pines, and I was one of the founders of Save Shadow Pines. And I wanted to agree with what my wife Donna just said, and just say that the preservation and restoration of the back nine was a key part of our vision when we first got involved with Save Shadow Pines. We wanted to see, the town has a number of very beautiful, highly developed parks, and they're great. But what we really wanted for Shadow Pines was to see an area that would be kept more in a natural state. And so, again, I would reiterate that there was very, very strong public support for exactly this kind of a thing that's being proposed tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Comments? Come on up, please.
I can speak from right here.
We want everybody here at home, so we want you to speak in the mic, please.
Thank you.
Yep.
First of all, I want to really commend the view of this area as the lower part of Shadow Pines as being as natural as possible. But I also really wanted to ask questions, and I've not seen master plans, so what's happening with Clark House?
I know the Clark House, it went to the town board to have it be renovated, and I believe that is still being discussed with plans of that happening in 2025 at some point, having some construction and renovations take place there.
Next Wednesday, I believe it's on our agenda to go over the plans and get the feedback that it did get awarded, or we're about to award it. The bids came back, they're looking good, so if anybody wants to come next Wednesday, it's in our work session, I believe that still is on our plan to discuss.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the audience like to speak tonight? Come on up, please, to the microphone.
Someone left their glasses. I'm Judy Traber, 12 Woodside Drive. And I did not plan to speak, but I understand that last month there was a presentation by a group that wants to put mountain bike trails through that south part of Shadow Pines, and I wondered whether that plan could be compatible with this plan to leave at least a section of it
So I can,
unopened.
I'll let Don.
I think I can speak a little. So you probably didn't, what Andrew was saying earlier, it's a multi-use trail plan. It's not a bike plan specifically. And the intent is to leave many of the existing trails that are there now that are primarily used for walking, and add some additional trails, like along the creek or up on the high plateau along the ridge that have a nice view, or out in the wooded area where there are no real trails now. So it's really just adding some trails that would be shared between bikers and hikers, in much the same way that many county parks are today.
Okay. And if I could
speak. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No. And really what they're proposing for doing native plants doesn't, there's no conflict in my mind between adding some trails through the property or, leaving the existing trails there that are there and planting, in the 99% of the land that's still undeveloped.
Okay. All right, thanks.
But that's next month.
I don't know what multi-use.
Yeah, so next month, Further Trail Systems is planning on bringing a draft, I guess, I don't know, preliminary, notional.
So maybe to clear up some of the confusion, when we started looking at this as a master plan way back we started in the fall of 2023. One of the components, which was part of the land use for Shadow Pines, was a portion of the south side for mountain biking specifically. Grok was kind of a part of that to start those conversations way back when the land use advisory was there. Through feedback that we received, kind of talking through our trails committee, and we just saw this larger connectivity piece, which was a large part of our master plan from feedback. And that bike-specific feedback that we got in the beginning has now rolled into multi-use. So yes, originally it was called a bike trail project, and that's what we were looking at from the scope of that portion of the property. But as the connectivity piece of the town has evolved with our active transportation plan coming up, we've now looked at it as more of multi-use. So what trails can we bring in there? The current trails on the south side are for a golf course. There are terrible spots that are muddy and terrible to maintain, and I think we're looking at this as not just a mountain bike on the south side, but really a connection piece for a really important piece of our property. And again, going back to color Penfield green, I think it's a perfect time to be discussing where those places will be, because ultimately, since we haven't hit the ground and put any trails in, there may be pieces that the plan that will be presented in February at our Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. But I think that there are some pieces that Don's referring to that maybe there's a little extra piece that we can connect it to a meadow and try to get people there. So I think all in all, there's going to probably be a lot of questions about the bike project, because the only pieces that have gone out were in the master plan process, and that was just a very vague, this is places, and I think I recall a map that was out there where there was a green blob and a yellow blob and a blue blob, and I'm sure for people at that point it looks like we're using the entire property, and maybe myself and Adam didn't explain well enough, but it's really just single shared use trails maybe in that general area. So I'm hoping at the presentation in February, as many people can come, again, provide feedback to Adam after the fact or to myself, but I'm hoping probably a lot of the questions of the unknown will at least be answered and we can move that discussion forward. Sorry for too many words for that, but
No.
just wanted to explain how it evolved from a bike project now to we're referring to it as a multi-use trail.
Are bike trails compatible with walking trails? I mean, can you actually use the same? From the little that I've seen, it looks like bikes, the heavy bikes can tear up the terrain pretty badly.
So the main reason we're looking at having and bringing in a professional consultant to look at this is to design these trails for multi-use, to make sure that, if Tim and his parks crew goes out there, and believe me, they do a wonderful job with the people that they have and the equipment they have, but if they went out there and tried to handle this on their own, I think we kind of took a step back and said, we should bring in a professional, so hopefully we can make the safest trails, the most accessible trails, but also the biggest connection piece and a very important piece of property for the town of Penfield. So the hope is that it doesn't mean that, there's not expenses and costs that go with that, but I think we're kind of looking long-term for this sort of a project to wrap up the south side with this connection piece for trails, and then get to some things that have been on the agenda, like Donna was saying, for years and years and years. We know that people have been waiting for this sort of stuff, but we're kind of piecing all of these things together, and hopefully they all collaborate and match up at the same time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other guests on the audience like to comment?
My name is Dr. Martin Korn, longtime Penfield resident and member of Color Penfield Green for many years. And I wanted to speak in support of Megan Meyer and her amazing group of Healthy Yards and the hard work and careful thought and thoughtfulness that they provide consistently to the betterment of our community. And this particular project that was proposed that I support wholeheartedly. We have property in the Adirondacks as well, and preserve the natural species there and encourage the native and try to get rid of, where we can, the invasives. I sit on another committees where we are looking at health of the lake and so forth, and invasive species. So to speak about, if I might, I know it's not the subject tonight, about, since the bikes were brought up, I just wanted to bring up the notion that, in my experience, bikers are not always courteous. And someone on a bike moving on a trail that isn't too wide is a hazard for pedestrians, and I would hope pedestrians would have right-of-way and that signage would be put up to make it very clear, and that violating it would cause problems for the biker. The other problem that I think often gets overlooked, now the beautiful woman with the white hair that came up to ask about the Clark House is my wife, Phyllis Korn, and we remember the Clark House fondly, as it was many years ago. But one of the things that is often not recognized by bikers coming up with, on your left, ding, 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 on your left, is that older people, maybe not always older, but more commonly, have hearing problems and may not hear the biker. And on a narrow trail, that's a recipe for potential significant injury. And I'm not sure what the answer is except education. And we see that on the Erie Canal path as well. Anyhow, thank you very much. thank you all for what you do.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else in the audience?
I think I can speak to some of those concerns just a little bit. And part of it comes down to design of the trail. And that's really what we're looking for from further trails. When we talk about multi-use trails, it's not talking about skinny single track. It's talking about trails that are wide enough and designed with the proper sight lines and with the proper speed controls. All of that goes into that proper design. And that's why the town went that route with something, a formal design. It's not just designed as the builders see, as the volunteers see fit. It's someone who's done this at a professional level. So education is a big piece, absolutely, but some of it does come down to design, and the trails can be designed with that multi-use in mind.
And enforcement is really hard.
Enforcement is a challenge. It is. It absolutely is.
Okay, seeing we have no more oh, no.
I'm Carol Samuel, and I want to follow Dr. Korn's messages. I don't see how, if a trail is designed for pedestrians and for bikes on the same trail, that's going to work. I have a small dog, a 6-foot leash, and if a bike is coming, and I've been there, not too much lately because I fell and broke my hip at Shadow Pines a couple years ago, but I've been there when kids are out there with their bikes and legitimate. Can there be separate trails for bikes and separate trails for people?
I think to the point we've been making, there's a professional who's been hired to design these trails, and he will be here next month to present those. So I don't think any of us are the right people to answer a question like that regarding the design. It's a valid question, certainly.
It's a beautiful, beautiful part of our town. I just had the opportunity to be there the day after Christmas when it was still snowy, and my family and our dogs, we were the only ones back there. And that's a beautiful place. We didn't create that hill, those hills in there, and going down to the creek.
Yeah.
It would be a shame to take that away from pedestrians.
I think by adding, they're talking about adding trails along the creek, for example, and in the woods to the existing trail network that's there. So it's actually, I think, an improvement for hikers and walkers.
Keeping the bikes, people on wheels, on 2 wheels, separate from the people on 2 feet and their pets is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, it'll be, we have the active transportation plan as well, so it's just another plan that's going to look into things like that as well, just not only within our trail systems, but also throughout the town of Penfield. So again, I think it's a very topical, subject at the moment, and I think all of these kind of things coming to fruition is a good thing to get feedback for, so.
And I would say that I've been with the Save Shadow Pines group from the inception, and lots of meetings at my house.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, yep, come on.
Hello. My name is John Steele. I moved to Penfield about 1.5 years ago, and I'm not a part of anything, but I'm not sure, but with the new trails, are they still keeping the walking trails also?
So part of the project is looking at those, and like I said before, on the north side and the south side, we understand from the town that it was created for a golf course, and we've, had walking paths, and Tim and his crew have even mowed to kind of connect different pathways together. But I think on the south side, we're looking at it from a professional, and some of them, I believe, the presentation will explain more, but I believe some of the recommendations would be to keep some of those paths, which makes sense, and maybe have different directions going off to explore new parts of the property. I believe on the north side, which is a little bit more flat with those paths, we've kind of looked at from our Trails Committee to say, hey, what are some obvious things that we could continue with footpaths? But I don't believe there's a plan in place that we know, when these golf cart paths are going to be inaccessible. And that's one of the reasons we brought in a professional to really look at the south side. Maybe we can adapt some of those philosophies on the front side. That's a little bit more passive.
I personally am hoping that some of the trails will be kept just for people who are walking, hiking. I also love that park, and I hope a lot of it stays looking natural as much as possible. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up, please.
Hi, my name is Cindy Harrison, and I was not planning on speaking tonight either, but I just thought I would bring this up. And perhaps it was already addressed, but my biggest disappointment with what has been developed in the park so far is that before all the development happened, we had these incredible fields of pollinators. I mean, like butterflies, bees, insects. We could hear them every time you walked through there. And then once all the development happened, we were hoping to see more of that. So I think I might be the person that Bob was referring to earlier that said, maybe we need a little education because you hear people saying, I don't like what they've done here, but that you guys have a plan. So I just wanted to speak up to say, like, is there more of a plan for letting that stuff continue to grow? Like, I know along the edge over along Clark Road, I see more of that happening, but then what ends up happening is it all gets mowed down in September, right when the pollinators all need it for overwintering.
So we've done some research on the mowing end of things. We came up with the biannual mowing plan, and as far as like the front 9, we do follow the monarch cycle, and we were suggested from, I don't know if it was Cornell Cooperative Extension, something, you can mow end of September, October 1st, just because that's when like everything's gone, it's all good to go. Like there are no eggs, they're all migrated at that point. So we do our research on that end of things. And then a big part of it is the invasives. Like as of right now, we're going to be working hopefully with Megameyer and all their group and everything to help populate the natives, but right now it's just trying to tame the invasives while trying to breed the natives.
Okay. I admit that I don't walk over there as much as I used to, so I probably even miss some of that because it feels so sterile at this point. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing that, and I guess I just wanted to speak up to say we would love to see more of that. I feel like there were islands in there that could have been left, but maybe there was more invasive than I realized that were in those islands, but it seemed like it was densely populated with some of the good stuff.
Another point is, and we do this on our guided hikes, we talk about this, if you don't mow meadows every 2 to 3 years, they turn into woods, and then they shade out all those pollinator plants. So you really do need to maintain a meadow, you need to mow on a certain cycle. And I think Parks has done a great job by alternating years so that now this is all on the south side, not on the north side. On the south side, they only do half in a given year.
Yeah.
So that the other half, will maintain all the eggs and things that are there in the milkweed and,
Yeah, that's good to hear.
So it's a compromise, of course,
Right.
but it will maintain that meadow over as long as they keep following that practice.
What I was noticing was that the north side had so much more of that stuff than the south side did. So I was
Yeah.
hoping to just see islands of it being left behind on the north side as we waited for the south side to hopefully populate with more of that. But I am not a master gardener, so.
And I think the north side, just because we've done some of the projects up there, it's still all relatively new. I'm not a pickleballer myself, but, that was only open last fall, and I know they're itching to get onto those courts. So, I see this all kind of perfect timing for our Trails Committee to be looking at those areas, working with Penfield Color Green it's not just the south side, it's the north side, and really all of our parks and properties as well. So I think it's a continuing discussion. Great always to get feedback, and again, I can't say more enough, not just at these meetings, reach out to the Recreation through email or stop by and have these discussions, but this is what's going to help kind of evolve these properties moving forward.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and as far as the mowing too, Shadow Pines isn't the only one we do this practice with. We also do out at Sherwood Fields, out on 441 by fire station number 1, I believe it is, by Salt Road. So we also do the mowing out there, the biannual mowing. So.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, thank you all for your comments. Appreciate that and your input. Did you have anything, Bob? Okay. So now we're going to, do we have anything else?
Nope, we're adjourned, or we can adjourn.
Okay. We're going to adjourn tonight's meeting, and we'll have our next meeting February 11th at 6 p.m. Thank you very much.